K Money.
Brother Debo?
What's happening, Capon?
What's happening? Chalet?
What's up, player?
What's up, player? What's happening? Okay.
Where do you get all these slick names from? K Money, player. What's happening, man?
I think you're trying to say you're not cool, bro.
No, I'm just.
He's born with a cool name, Debo.
That is not a cool name.
That is cool.
It is not.
That's cool.
It is
nothing,
not.
Nothing. I can't get nothing.
It sounds like a sharecroppers. Debo, get that cotton out of there, Debo.
If anything, it sounds like what was the character name when he said, "Okay, all you Negroes can leave," and then I heard I said, "No, Debo, not you."
Anybody see that boy?
Not you, Debo.
Oh,
You come on.
They was booking, man. He go, oh, not you, Steven.
Like that's a cool name.
Yeah.
That ain't no cool name. It sounds like slavery on steroids.
Does not.
Where Debo? Where that boy at?
All right, hey Jackie, are you ready? I got one. I heard this joke yesterday. I got one.
Is Jackie listening to you?
Yeah.
Oh, is this about y'all horrid beatdown by the Vikings?
No.
No. It's a
Packers
joke.
played yesterday. I didn't see a game.
I don't see any Packer gear on either.
There's no Packers. Don't see
Yeah,
a black
it's
today.
kind of empty up in here.
Oh,
He
man.
got on black.
Ain't nobody flexing the function today.
Oh, just so you know, your guy called Saturday,
Did he?
Arizona.
Oh, where did nobody hit? But
Right. He's like, I'm gonna sneak in today, just in case things don't go right.
all right.
So you ready, Kathy? I mean, Jackie?
Yeah, I think she. Okay. So, a guy gave his wife a burial plot for Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
and so she, crazy gift. So next year, she said, "Did you get me anything for Christmas?" He said, "Well, you didn't use the gift I gave you last year."
More sexist humor.
It could have been a woman. You could have put a man or woman.
No, more sexist
That was
humor.
a good one. No thought needed. You didn't have to explain it.
Jackie? Oh.
What'd she say?
She thumbs down.
Thumbs
right.
down, please.
Call her. Good morning.
Good morning, guys.
What's
Good
happening?
morning.
Hey, Michelle, I'm gonna help you out this morning with Debo.
Oh,
Lord.
please do.
Okay,
Y'all know who this is, right? Big Tony.
Debo,
Yes, sir.
think of a number between 1 and 10, but don't tell Michelle.
I got it.
You got? All right, multiply by 2,
Okay.
add 5,
Okay.
multiply by 50. You can use your calculator if you want. We almost done.
Wait a minute.
I got it, Michelle. Don't worry. I got it.
Okay, wait. I got to remember what the last number was.
He don't
You
even
said
know.
nine. Should I start over?
No, hell no.
Okay, multiply by 50.
You
Wait
need
a
a calculator?
Yeah, give me a calculator. Where's my
Dang.
phone?
Yeah, get you.
Because I
get your
chose a
calculator.
crazy number.
We almost done.
Okay, you sure is.
Give me these numbers this early in the morning.
I'll tell you what the heck wrong with you. Okay, got it. Okay,
All right, we got it.
you said by 50?
Yeah, by 50.
Okay, got it.
Add 1,748. We almost done.
Okay.
All right, take the year you was born and subtract it from that, and you should end up with a 3-digit or a 4-digit number.
Three-digit number.
Okay. Tell Michelle your 3-digit number.
Why am I telling her?
Why not? Is this top secret? I mean,
You told me don't tell her. Now you want me to tell her.
No. The number you thought of, I didn't want you to tell her that number.
Okay, my 3-digit number, Michelle. Am I telling her aloud or am I?
Yeah, you can tell it over the air.
Jesus.
Okay, 232.
232.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle, 1 + 1 = what?
2.
That's the number Debo thought of.
Mm-mm.
Or you messed up, Debo.
No, you messed up. You messed
We got it, Michelle.
It was not the number I thought
I
of.
tell you, our callers are always trying to intellectually stump us, aren't they? I mean, you
That
know,
sound like JT. Write down fee. Write down phone. Then fee again. Then fee.
Mr. Debo.
Yeah, Debo. Michelle.
Yes.
Michelle.
Trust me, Michelle. He done something wrong.
Of course it was
I
me.
believe it.
Of course it was
I know
me.
you're right. I know you're right.
Show you
All
right.
right, guys. Y'all have a wonderful
I was going to ask,
day.
are you not working today?
Working? I don't work.
Okay. It's obvious. Have a great one.
No,
Hey, but before you go, man, thank you, man. I used your seasoning for the Capon Thanksgiving. I don't know if I got a chance to thank you for that, but man, it
yeah.
brought the flavor out, dude. Thank you.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Now, what is
Okay.
Capon?
Capon is a castrated rooster.
So he's different than a chicken?
Castrated rooster. And as you know, no, that's true.
Well, why do you keep using that word castrated?
Because he was castrated. That's what makes it a capon. And what happens is, if you're a male,
So what happens if you don't castrate him?
he would be a rooster, and you're not going to eat him because people don't eat roosters. You know, the meat is too tough because of the muscles, right?
So once they castrate him, that softens the meat?
Right, because if a male is castrated, that means that you're not getting the testosterone.
He's not a man.
Right. So now you move around. They don't move. They're slow. So there's really thick, very rich chicken.
Is it oily like duck?
Not as oily as duck, but really flavorful and really juicy.
Really?
Hey, Keith,
Yes.
I got one question for Debo since you brought that up.
Okay.
Now, is that rooster, is he internal or outternal? Since they castrate him.
I'm going to hang up on you, man.
Well, don't hang up.
Well, because what is he asking me?
I don't know. That's what
if he's
explain it.
castrated, he's no longer external.
Okay, well,
Internal, external. What does that mean?
Male, female, basically.
Oh. So
And where is it located? Outer or inner?
You know what? Don't get me started on chicken genitalia. I couldn't tell you.
Chicken genitalia.
All I know is when I looked up Capon, they said it was a castrated rooster. That's all I know. Now I don't know where it is.
Keep using that word castrated real loosely around men.
Oh man, no, everybody kind of clutching up here like, ouch.
Castrated, just even the thought.
Now it is the 3 Hebrew boys were eunuchs. They were castrated.
Mm.
Yeah. It's
The fiery furnace boys.
Yeah, because normally, if you had the harems,
So when you say
usually the
castrated
men,
in that form, are you speaking to basically Caesarean?
Caesarean.
Wait, I just thought about what I just said. You know what I'm talking about. What's that when they take the foreskin? What's that called?
Castrate? Oh, castration.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's not castration. Circumcised. Thank you. There you go. I don't know. I got
Hey,
it.
Debo, you got to keep it PG. Keep it PG.
Well, no, that's
That's a legitimate question.
Yeah.
Because when you start
because
speaking
Al
of
called
circumcision,
in a couple weeks ago talking about the benefits of castration.
I'm just trying to figure out who figured out, because they said they castrate them at 3 weeks. These chickens, male chickens get castrated at a young age, usually around 3 weeks old.
so that's the rooster you're referring to.
No, it just says male chickens. Capons are male chickens that are castrated or gelded at a young age, usually around 3 weeks old. The lack of testosterone causes more fat to form in one of the chicken's muscles, resulting in a plumper, juicier bird with more tender, flavorful meat. Who figured that out? Somebody said, please stop them from talking about the cutting.
That's what I was saying. Castrated.
Literally
Castrated.
texting me.
You said
Ask y'all to
castration.
please stop.
Well, there
Talking about
is a
cutting.
story. There's a story in the Bible where there was a group of people who, and I'm going to be very general, wanted to be, I guess the Israelites said, "Hey, look, you could be part of us, right? But as a male, in order to be Jewish, you have to be circumcised.
Mm-hmm.
Circumcision for an adult is very, very, very painful, right? And the recovery time. And so what they did was they castrated. I'm stuck on castrated. They circumcised the males, well, because in their recovery, and then they moved in and slaughtered them.
And then they moved in and what?
Slaughtered them, killed them. They couldn't fight. I mean, they were debilitated because of the circumcision. And there's arguments back and forth about the benefits or lack of benefits of circumcision. I know for
Well, why can't you fight? Because you're in
pain. You're in so much
shape.
pain. You know.
Oh, they did it right after they had.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, isn't this a great term?
man.
Thank you, Keith.
So now you know.
We thank Big Tony.
Thank Big Tony. Yeah. So now you know the difference between.
Yeah, well, he started thanking you for the season for the Capon is when his whole thing went south.
Because he asked what a Capon. Who asked what a Capon
I did.
was? You asked, right?
I didn't
So
know.
thank you, Debo.
I hear people talk about Capon, certainly,
but
but
that's
I
the
never
difference.
knew what it was.
Yep.
Because I don't go.
Hey, I got to
too far
catch all of
outside.
you guys there together.
Well, actually,
So I can
we're here
bring
right
in
now.
Corned beef and the
Actually, we're all here right now. Carvey, everybody. LL, the gang's all here.
we gonna make it one day this week.
Not with
Michelle, make sure you be there.
Okay, I will.
You
Not
sure
right.
you want her to be here?
Unfortunately, I'll be
Yes,
here.
I do.
All right. All right. Appreciate you,
All
man.
right. You guys have a wonderful day.
Appreciate you,
All right.
Tom.
So,
All right, brother.
why do you eat capons? Are they good?
Oh man, I think when you came over for Thanksgiving, we had capons.
I think you eat capons because they're bougie.
Sounds
goes
bougie.
my
back-
mama used
it
to.
goes
My
back.
mama used to do capon. 'Cause we didn't
They
do
cost
turkey.
more than hens because they are expensive to feed and not mass produced.
Right.
What's
Did you
what's
ever-
what shirt you got on right now?
Did you ever?
You don't want to say Patagonia. You don't want to say it. This fits right into your bougie hoe everything. That's why you eat capons.
Keith, you want to take a call?
Not because they extra good or
No, I
delicious.
want to have a moment.
You are
Didn't I
just
tell you?
bougie.
Call him up to the program.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Hey, what up? What up? Where you been? Working.
Yep,
Working.
I'm working.
Did you win? Did you
Yes,
win?
I did. Yes, I did.
You were the overall winner.
Of
Yes,
the
Yes, I
challenge?
Yeah.
The
you
chamber?
still Anita Baker here.
Oh, you talking about
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
contest?
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She was cold.
I didn't know you had. I didn't know you had skills like that.
Yeah.
She's so humble. Yeah. Well.
Michelle, I inbox you
Okay.
via Facebook Messenger. I
Oh.
sent you some stuff.
Okay, I'll look for it.
So yeah.
Did you hear the pointers that Keith had for? I mean, not Keith. Christopher had for you.
Yeah, I ain't nobody thinking about Chris. He been gone with that guy.
Devo, stop being messy, man. Please don't feed in here. Please don't.
What was
Please
Diddy?
don't.
What was Diddy's show? Making the band.
Yes.
Making of the band.
Yes.
Christopher was trying to give out some great information.
I was riding in the car and a Biggie song came on. I'm trying to remember which one it was. And all of a sudden, then you hear Diddy. So I had to turn to Frankie and say, "You know that's Diddy, right? Talking. He ain't rapping, talking." Yeah. I watched a documentary on TLC.
Is your caller still on there?
Yeah.
Yes,
Hey,
she's
Jenny. Hey, Jenny. I'm sorry. What else on your mind, dear? I'm sorry.
Well, no, I just kind of turned on and I heard you all talking about capons,
Okay.
which I grew up eating.
Were you
Did
I
bougie?
don't know if that was.
Whoa, were you bougie?
You know what my mama was.
Oh, you put it on your
I
mama.
love the
There's
truth.
the confirmation right there.
I love
And
the truth.
Ironically, I don't know if everybody in our neighborhood did it because I grew up on 4th and Keith. Keith, we was right around the corner from you. So I don't know if everybody did it over there.
Okay. Well, I know what was happening. I know what they was making down there on 5th and Keith. at Vanita Lee's house. Oh, those beef ribs. Oh my God. Oh, that woman used to make, oh, that woman could cook.
Beef ribs, huh?
Oh, that woman.
Who
Oh.
did that on Stephen Keith?
Oprah's mom, Vanita Lee. They live right, you know where the barber shop used to be in the Stevens? They were upstairs.
Yep, Stevens.
Yeah, they were upstairs there. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I didn't know you were on 4th and Keith.
3416, 18 years.
Is that right? As a so
You know
you
about a Mad Mule?
Oh, yeah.
well, the Mad Mule, the Stevens became the Mad Mule.
It was the Stevens.
It was the
okay,
Stevens. Because remember that was it the fish tank in the window?
No, it wasn't a fish tank. Mm-mm.
Well, because they had the Stevens was like a lounge, man. That was you
Uh-huh.
know.
Yeah.
Over in that area. So did you stay closer to, like, there's a store right in the residential, like between houses. There's this little black.
Oh, that's down on 3rd Street.
That's no, not 3rd.
I think that's 3rd or that's Mr. Watkins, Columbus Watkins store.
That was, you talking about the middle of the block on
Yeah.
3rd?
Yeah, wasn't that Columbus Watkins? That was Mr.
I
Watkins
think
store.
it was.
But
Yeah.
is that 3rd Street though?
Yeah, I think it's like
Yeah, that was on
3rd or
3rd.
2nd. It was down. Yeah.
Okay.
Because Mini Mart was
Oh,
on
the
corner.
Mini Mart was the Mini Mart
Mini Mart on Keith.
on Keith.
Yep.
Right. There's
Yep.
used to be a laundromat. I don't know if that laundromat is still there.
Big
Right
Low.
there on the
Big
corner.
Low was on
Big
the corner
Low.
over there.
Yeah, but right now we call that the Valley.
Yeah, I know some.
yeah,
Tony and Kay Franklin lived over in that area too.
right. The Yanceys lived over there.
Did they?
Yeah, the Yanceys.
Russell
lived
now?
over there. Russell, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, they were over there. And then it was interesting this weekend. I was at Victor's.
Okay, I got to go, y'all.
All right.
Oh, she faking like she working.
Happy New Year.
Faking like
She probably is.
Yeah, and we know where.
All right. But I was at Victor's. You know, Victor's is closing. Their last day will be
Tomorrow
night into Wednesday.
Yeah, when they
And so they had DHS night, Dominican High School night, and it was interesting.
Jesus Christ.
You know who was there? Dasher was there.
Jesus Christ.
So it was,
New
but one of my classmates, his dad ran. There used to be a boxing company, the Downing Boxing Company, down on First in Vienna.
yeah, back up in there.
Right.
They're no longer there?
I don't know who has it now. His dad was the president.
Because I know there's a box company down in there.
It
Yeah.
was, but man, when you had to go down in the valley, that's like the darkest part of the city. And they could never get that lit down that way. So you go down the hill because it's literally a hill. You know, you
You
start
talking
at
about Miller Valley?
No,
What valley?
Keith Valley.
What's the
Yeah.
Keith Valley?
Right, Keith Avenue. You come down right off of starting probably at Port Washington. There's a hill. You get down to that would be 4th, 5th, 3rd. That'd be 3rd, right? Yeah, back in the day.
So how was the little Victor's?
Thank you, Mama. Thank you, Mama. Thank you,
Because-
because my mama made that happen. And I was talking to some guys there, and it was interesting because you don't know what's going on in people's households, right?
Right.
And you're hearing stories about the difficulties they were having in their homes. We're assuming because these are white, upper middle class folks, there's no problems, a whole lot of problems. And so guys were talking. So it was interesting, just talking to people on a human level, understanding the values that school put into. They really had put a high premium on service and the importance of service to community, service to others, which kind of gets us to Jimmy Carter. And Jimmy Carter was the first presidential election I voted in 1980. That was the first one because I hadn't bothered to register to vote when I came out of high school. 72 was the first year that 18-year-olds could vote. I did not vote in 76. I did vote in 80 and only missed one vote since 1980. Go back and check my records. I've missed one vote. Thank you, Penny. Young lady, she went to Hood College for Women down in Frederick, Maryland. And we were talking one day, had one of these deep political conversations, you know, because I was deep. I was a deep brother. I was deep. And she said, Keith, let me ask you a
Fifth
question.
time, he was deep.
Oh, it was deep. She said, brother, you registered to vote?
Uh.
I go, what? What? No. She said, we can't even have this conversation. So take your deep asshole come have this conversation.
I mean, it's real.
Right. So
Like when I said,
first thing I did, came back home. That would have been 1977. Came home, went right over to Atkinson Library and registered to vote.
yeah, because I said it on the radio to somebody that had called in that always, talk slick and crazy, like they trying to holler. And I said, I don't date brothers that don't vote. And like two
You don't
sisters,
date brothers that don't read. You don't date brothers who ain't smart,
Ain't got no money.
ain't got no money,
Don't leave that out. That ain't like
ain't got no
top,
style.
but it's in there.
It's hard. I don't know why anybody think they can push up.
You gotta check their Nike tags, make sure their tags is right.
Make sure they're legit Nike.
Yeah.
Did we miss anything on the list?
anyway.
Anyway.
Two sisters came up and told me, they said, I never thought about saying that to some people.
What's that?
That I don't date brothers that don't vote. And they said,
real
but
talk.
I know brothers that really be in my face, jacking and and don't even participate. And so they said, thank you, because I'm gonna be using
You
it.
know what's crazy? And I'm still doing postmortem from the election.
You see, they blasted Michelle because basically she said that too.
What?
Michelle Obama.
Said what?
That there are some of us that are still trying to get over the last few, months and and like everybody, the people who want to hate on her anyway, but they attacked her for it. I was like, Michelle Obama got a right to say whatever she wants.
She can say what she want to say. She's still getting 250 every time she speaks. So yeah, she might not feel the same.
Wait,
way
somebody said, well, y'all said, well, brothers can't, you got to have in order to date me. Somebody said, don't forget can't dance. Because your brother can't dance, I can't get with you.
You can't get with a brother with no rhythm.
Oh no. Me and Barack Obama, that little I'm like, oh nah.
Never learned to swim. Can't get the rhythm of the stroke.
Barack little dancing was so
Why
awful.
should I hold my breath? Oh, I didn't know that. So that's also on the list.
That's
Dudes
on
that
the
can't
list.
dance.
That's on the list.
You wouldn't get down with Barry?
No, I'm just kidding.
Obama don't have to be able to dance. He's Obama.
No, because I would have made sure he learned. But the intelligence offsets the inability. Somebody said bald-headed men. Y'all crazy.
Is that right?
That's not true. That's not true. No, because it's like some cold bald-headed men, but you got to have the right head. Hopefully you had a mama who loved you, shaped your little head.
How'd your mama now? Make sure that head is round.
Oh, my mom didn't believe in that.
How do you do that?
Because the way you just rub their head. You just rub their head, rub baby's head. My mom and them all did. We did that with Derek. You had to rub their head to make sure.
Did it make a difference?
Because it's still soft. It was still forming. And we believe it did. My mother believed it with me. My head is just wonderfully round. So, but you could be bald headed. I mean,
juicy.
Everybody ain't fine bald headed, but there are some people that's fine bald headed.
Wow.
Although I was looking at some more man units going in, and
man units.
Yeah, man, the weed for men, it's messing up the game. Like this dude went from the crown baldness and just the hair on the sides to like locks that was braided back the way Jermaine be wearing his hair.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was like, no, look like Harvey, like head full of hair, full of locks, but his was a weave.
Oh no!
What you looking over there for, Keith? Did nobody say nothing about Carvey?
You know what Carvey said?
What?
Oh no!
I mean, I heard her.
It's all natural, right?
Yeah, man.
You know what? Again,
it's all natural.
I
can't stand you. What else has it got?
Hey, let me before you go. You heard about the controversy with Mississippi Valley State down there in Itty Bitty, Mississippi?
No, what's the controversy?
Yeah,
what's going on, Mississippi Valley?
The March of Mean Green. Mississippi Valley State was invited to perform.
Oh yeah, at the inauguration.
At the inauguration.
Yeah, and we trying to figure out why. It ain't no way I would be going. Is that the controversy?
Huh?
What's the controversy?
Them trying to fundraise.
Because you're saying like there are people that are upset that they're going, or what?
Yeah.
No, when I saw it, when it was released that they were participating, I literally was like, I know you playing.
All right. Mississippi Valley State Band faces backlash over Trump's inauguration invite while seeking donations for the trip. Mississippi Valley State's president, Dr. Jarrell Briggs, called the invitation a moment of pride for the entire state.
Please.
Mississippi Valley State, an HBCU located in Itty Bitty, Mississippi. Best known as the alma mater of what NFL great, Michelle?
NFL great from what's his name that played for the Packers? Not that boy. Who? Doug.
Jerry Rice.
Oh, Jerry.
Jerry
Okay.
Rice.
Okay.
Yeah. He played.
Because what's his name went to Alcorn, so I was thinking it could have been.
Was that Steve McNair?
No, for the Packers.
Donald Driver. He went to
Alcorn.
Did he?
Yeah.
Double D.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you, I saw Double D.
Yeah,
here in the city.
Did he have socks on? Anyone?
Yeah, he did
with
not.
With them ugly shoes he be wearing?
He did not. He said, and the school is trying to raise the funds to travel. According to WLBT, the Mean Green Marching Machine will need to raise $350,000 in order to cover expenses for the trip. Although normally a band selection to perform at the inauguration of a president is an honor, but the decision of the band to accept to perform for Trump has been met with criticism on social media. The MVSU Mean Green Marching Machine has been invited to Washington, D.C. for the 60th presidential inauguration. And then it says, help us raise. I did go to the GoFund page. They were trying to raise $350,000. They lowered it now to $70,000. They've already raised $46,000.
The Republicans don't give them the money to come.
So the people you tagged are the same people that want to close the HBCUs in Mississippi.
That's right.
Another person tweeted, ask the governor of Mississippi or any of the Republicans in the state legislature if they can help get y'all there. Mm-hmm. Talk about shameful. Hope your own good that you don't raise the money. I don't know what y'all thinking. The man is a blatant racist.
But they performed in Richard Nixon's inauguration in 1969.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
According to press releases now here's what they want the money for. They said the band is seeking funds to acquire instruments, uniforms, provide scholarships, and get other essential resources for its continued development.
So that ain't even got nothing to do with the trip.
Sound like they're using
you gaming.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they should go because they acting just like Donald Trump. You gaming. Because I'm like, when you said it went from $350,000 to $70,000, that's a heck of a drop.
Yeah, I went to the GoFund page to see what it was, and it said they were asking $70,000.
Mm-hmm. That's just nonsense.
Are they in the top 5, top 10 in H? They do rankings now. The HBCU bands rankings are as important as the HBCU football rankings.
So are they saying they in the top 10?
I'm gonna pull them up now and see if they are. HBCU band rankings.
It is no way I would have been sitting in my school.
Did I shout out Mount St. Mary's?
No, you did not.
Let me shout out Mount St. Mary's again for beating the University of Miami to the point that the coach at the University of Miami quit. They're not supposed to lose to Mount St. Mary's. He quit. All right.
What?
According to ESPN.
Damn.
Yeah. No, you're not supposed to lose to Mount St. Mary's. And hey, I'm a proud graduate and alum. But no, you're not supposed to lose to them if you are all right, here we go. All right, now according to ESPN, here's Division I top 15 bands for November, HBCUs. North Carolina A&T.
Always.
Jesse Jackson's alma mater.
Fam, you better be in there.
Florida A&M University, they just got back to Marching 100.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee State.
Oh, surprise.
Okay. Norfolk State.
Surprise.
That is Bobby Dandridge's alma mater.
Isn't that where, what's his name going?
Who?
Vic. Michael Vick, he a head coach now?
I thought he's going, is he going to Norfolk State or Bethune? Okay, Bethune-Cookman. Southern University, what are they? Are they the boombox? They're not the boombox of the South.
Yep, they are.
Texas Southern University. They can't win any football games, but they got a great band. Jackson State University.
No surprise.
Alabama State University.
No
That's
surprise.
Your son is a proud grad of Alabama State,
That's
right?
right. The Hornets.
Prairie View A&M.
No surprise.
Okay. Alabama A&M. South Carolina State, Grambling State, North Carolina Central, and Alcorn. Those are the top 15. I do not see Mississippi Valley State.
And Vic did go to Norfolk.
Did he? Okay.
Yep.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, so there was I don't think they should go, but you figure like it's an honor.
No way. No way.
And then let's see how much TV time you get.
I mean, they're gonna highlight them because they're gonna want to try to show, quote, the fake diversity of who's at the inauguration. So they're gonna be the tokens. They're gonna highlight them. But when you realize to the point that some of these people made, like you were cheating these universities out of money,
And continue to.
and then when people push back, you start wanting to play with the idea of closing these HBCUs altogether, and like, come on, man.
I don't know if I know any alum from Mississippi Valley.
I think it was literally. Well, I know some.
Here?
Yeah, but I think it literally was just a ploy to be able to raise dollars. Because why would you jump out with $350? Your band leader is trifling.
And they talk about building a hall.
Yeah, you trifling. This was this like, I see green.
This is a big band, though. They got 250 members in that band. That's a big band. But they're not top the top 15.
Well, I'm just mad at them because I think he just was, trying to parlay that for whatever he could get. But
and then I don't know.
It's just no way.
Hampton played Howard for the Battle of the HUs.
So when we talk about rubbing your child's head to keep it, to make it round, somebody said, "Oh, that's why my head is flat on the back."
I used to say to my mama, "Why don't you tell the truth? You dropped me a couple of times. Tell the truth. You really did. And look, the statute of limitations is up. Child Protective Service is not coming out because you had to drop me.
I dropped Derek.
Did you?
Well, I ain't dropped him. I went to sleep and he rolled off my lap, and my mama came in yelling, "Michelle!" I was like, "Oh." He was fine now, but he rolled off.
And just in case you keeping score, and shout out to my sister who was a Howard alum. All the Howard alums. Let me shout out my guy, Wesley McKenzie. He is a Hampton alum. Hampton beat Howard 83-67 for the Battle of the HUs. They always say, and then their ongoing thing is who has the best homecoming, Hampton or Howard?
Howard.
You think Howard?
Totally. And I've been to both.
I've been to Howard's homecoming. I've never been to Hampton's homecoming. Boy, I told somebody, I didn't realize that there's actually a football game going on at an HBCU. It was kind of like, does the band ever stop? There was a game last year where they penalized Florida A&M for playing when they're not supposed to play. Those bands play nonstop. I mean, it's just, and so it's more the party in the stands than what's actually going on the field.
So since you mentioned Howard University, I will just say the Howard University Nike Air Force One Low got released on December 21st. And so you can look at it, and it literally has, stuff that's unique to Howard. It says
Bison.
So Nike Air on the inner tag, it says yard runners. I'll pull up more information on the shoe.
Got Bison on there? Because they are the Bisons.
Let me see. Yes, Keith, I know.
Oh, man, don't be getting all frustrated because people know what you know. You get all frustrated because people know what you know.
So Howard University students have major bragging rights when it comes to their school's Nike partnership. The Washington, D.C. institution inked an unprecedented 20-year partnership with Jordan Brand in 2022 gear towards elevating the school's athletic department. So they have the Jordan 1 lows. To the uninitiated, Nike's Yard Runners program was created in 2020 in order to highlight the legacies of HBCUs through footwear designed by alumni. So, yep, just so you know. So I got to find out what other schools got. I got to collect them now.
But Howard?
If they got HBCUs if there are other HBCUs that have a gym shoe, I got to get one. You have to.
Why?
Because it was like when Nike did the cities.
Okay.
And so I got like the Nikes that got New Orleans on them. Mm-hmm. What was it? New Orleans. It was 4 cities. Who do I have? I always remember New Orleans because that's the first pair I bought. But I think it's like ATL. But it's 4 cities, but they did the cities editions. You got to have them because it's collectors.
I did not know that.
Let me look and see which cities it was. I
didn't realize that James Earl Jones was 99 years old.
Is he still alive?
No, he passed this year.
Oh, that's right. He did pass this year.
Yeah, he's born 12/29. No, it's just. No, let's see if he's 99. When was he born? Oh no, he's what 99. No, he's in his 80s. Okay. You're listening to Community Voice. By the way, I saw Bobby Jones. They did a tribute to Bobby Jones. Bobby Jones is 86 years old. That man does not look like he's 86 years old. You're listening to Community Voice. When we get back, we'll talk about some of the folks that we lost this year. So we'll be right back.
The holidays, and holiday trips, and holiday toys, and holiday bonding. And it all comes together in a Chevrolet.
Find your red tag. Get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Silverado 1500 pickups. Plus, get $3,750 total value on this Silverado when you trade in an eligible vehicle. Chevrolet.
The passing of a loved one is emotional enough without adding the stress of funeral arrangements. By pre-planning, you receive the desires of your heart while taking away the burden from your family. It also saves you money, providing the dignity and respect your memory deserves. And there are times when life ends unexpectedly. Please know that the New Pitts Mortuary is here to lend a helping, caring hand anytime, day or night. We are the New Pitts Mortuary.
What's your secret? Because you and Kim, y'all tight, right? You know, that's my guy. Man, I love Kim. Oh man. He did a song. I wish it would have been out when I got married. I would have used it. Promise to Love.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh
nice.
man,
That's
that
nice.
is man. So we lost Frankie Beverly. I did not know that Frankie Beverly was from Philly.
What?
Yeah, he's from Philly.
Of course he's from
I didn't know he was from Philly. 'Cause I always associated him with New Orleans. I don't know why I associated him with New Orleans. Maybe because of Essence.
Oh my God.
No, I mean just saying.
Dude.
What
are you
and
saying?
I forgot about this relationship. Phil Donahue and Dr. Ruth.
What about him?
Dr. Ruth, that's where she got her start, got her
the-
exposure on Phil Donahue.
But Dr. Ruth, I thought she was already on, or did he put her on?
He really put her on. He put her out there where, because Dr. Ruth and her talking about sex.
Which always was hilarious when you looked at her.
And listen to that accent.
The little old lady, like, talking about getting busy. Like, Dr. Ruth, I'm going to need this to stop right now. This is uncomfortable.
Who's that, Dr. Ruth?
Mm-hmm. It just was crazy. Like, no, ma'am, we're not going to have this conversation.
Shelley Duvall. Have you ever heard of Janice Burgess?
I don't think so.
Okay. Have you ever heard of this cartoon called Backyardigans?
Yeah.
Okay. She's the creator of Backyardigans.
Oh, really?
Right. Janice Burgess.
It's the sister?
Yeah.
She passed?
She passed. So is this book for all the folks that have passed? No, the New York Times does this thing where it's really eclectic. They do this wide range of different people. It's taken out of New York Times Magazine. It's always the last edition of the year. And so they take people who are iconic or people that you may or may not know about, or when like, oh, he was part of that. So they do that. What I wanted to do, and I'm so trifling, was New York Times has this thing where if someone can show, let's say Michelle Bryant was famous, in the community, people didn't know, really had a very unique, poignant story. They would let you go in and do it's all post-mortem, but you could go in and you could put in an obituary if they miss someone. They've done people that they missed like 15 years ago, they'll come back and do. And the person I wanted to send in to them was Vel Phillips. Because I thought Vel Phillips
would have been
she
would have made sense.
Would have made a whole lot of sense.
She was national in addition to the work that she did here in the state.
Mm-hmm.
First Black person to be on the DNC.
Right.
Democratic National Committee, the advisory role. She even had.
Was she the first Black person elected to the Common Council?
Well, yeah, but I was saying, in addition to just what she did locally, she also had a national presence.
Right. Oh, and she also marched with Father Grappi. She was part of what was then the NAACP Youth Council, which became the Commandos. Okay. Polly Williams' brother Hook was part of that group back in the day. And so part of that, and she, I think every session she would offer legislation for open housing. And it became a moot point in 1968 when, on the federal level, they passed the Open Housing March. There were a whole lot of people who loved Henry Meyer, but Henry Meyer, I'm just going to put it, in some ways, ran a plantation when it came to Black folks, right? And so you might want to think he's progressive. Now, Henry Meyer was very good at leveraging, because of his influence in the Democratic Party and Democratic administrations, of leveraging money to come to the city, because his famous mantra was, it's going to be a long, hot summer, right? And so, and look, I'm going to be honest with you. I did benefit from that type of thing. Those of us who are young enough, old enough to remember back in the day, they used to have NYC, Neighborhood Youth Corps, which was a place where kids could work. And later it kind of folded into CETA, where you could kind of do the work. But I had I got my Social Security card at the age of 12 and applied for a job with the Commandos back in the day. What would happen is if you were like 11, 12, you would just basically go to Garfield Park and play, and they paid you. If you were older, you swept alleys, and they paid you.
Mm.
And then I ended up doing NYC one year when I worked at Camp Wickham Mason back in the day. I was 15, and I did NYC. Those programs, first of all, you had money in your pocket, which for a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, and then it becomes a diversion from you not necessarily getting into trouble because, you have more of a positive space to be in, and you got paid to be in that space. The funny thing, though, is that I remember getting a W-2, and I didn't work that summer. But they sent me a W-2. So I ended up getting an income tax return. I didn't work that summer. Who cashed my check?
Because I'm getting ready to say,
who cashed my check? I didn't think anything. Because my mother was kind of, because the Commandos was up on Green Bay then. They were up there. Providence Baptist Church had just started up on there on Green Bay, right across the street from the old Nationals. And my mother, very progressive, because there was a rally. The first time I ever saw Dick Gregory was in 1967. There was a rally down at St. Boniface, and he was here because people know our history. And this is the thing about Milwaukee, know your history. For 200 consecutive days, Black folks did open housing marches. And it became national news because when we hit the 16th Street Viaduct, and I wasn't there, it was like, dude said, you would have thought you was in Mississippi. Those white folks on the South Side, oh my God.
Vel Phillips, Father Grappy,
Hook, all those folks, Prentice McKinney, those folks who, they braved it. And then the fascinating thing, I watched this documentary on 1968, and I loved how they started. It said, for 1968, you have to go back to understand 1968. You need to know that 1968 started in 1967. That summer in 1967, there were riots over 100 cities throughout Milwaukee, Detroit, Newark, Wilmington, Delaware. It was just like, it was that hot summer. Those of us who remember as kids, they declared martial law here in Milwaukee, and we had National Guard troops out on the streets. We can remember as kids, my grandmother lived on First and Wright. First and Wright was 2 blocks away from 3rd Street. 3rd Street was kind of like the epicenter of the rioting. And so, we could hear gunshots at night. As a kid, it was surreal. It was 1967. And then, what else happened in 1967? I talk about it. Those you old school folks remember. There was a group out there. I don't know if it was Deacons for Defense, what these brothers' name was, but they declared a Black Christmas. What's Black Christmas? We don't celebrate Christmas. And so it was because if you had like Christmas lights up in your house, you might get a brick through your window. My uncle had his Christmas gifts in his car. They broke in the car, took his Christmas gifts. It was crazy. That was 1967. And it was Poe for us in 1967 too, because I realized my mom was saving money to buy a house. So that was materially the poorest Christmas I could ever remember. I got one gift. It was a rifle. One gift. So 1967 definitely set up 1968, and then 1968, which is probably one of the most tumultuous years we ever had in America. When you look at the assassination of Dr. King, the assassination of Bobby Kennedy, Richard Nixon wins election in November. We had the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, where the term police riot was coined because Mayor Daley just unleashed the Chicago Police Department on protesters who were trying to protest down at the convention. And I had an uncle who had a brother who lived in East Chicago, and we were going to go down and visit Uncle Ed down in East Chicago, and we had to drive through Chicago. And this was right after the King riots, and you literally could smell the wood. I remember when I went to, we used to have Summer Fun Club, and I started at the YMCA. A lot of people don't know this. The YMCA used to be on 6th and North, and then they built the new one on 12th and Garfield. So in 67, 66 was the first year there. 67 was the second year there. And I'll never forget going over there, and you could smell the burnt wood. There was restaurants that had been burned down. It was, I mean, if you ever been in a city where there's been a riot, it's surreal, you know. And as a kid, and then you see a National Guard with live ammo, you know, on the corners, basically stopping people from moving. There was a curfew. It was crazy. And then Detroit, that one, I think over 60 people lost their lives in Detroit. Newark was bad. Harlem, there were places. And then, you know, LA had their riots. Watts was 65.
But were you familiar with a house in Milwaukee that got burnt?
Firebomb.
The Freedom House that police shot
Yep.
into. Yep. And then so Val Phillips' house actually was shot into. Mm-hmm. The bullet hit her oven. She had to send her kids to California to live with family members.
You know, and you were a kid, you sensed the danger in the air, but you're still a kid, right? So you're still doing like kid things. But yeah, they're the commandos to this day. If you talk to any of those surviving commandos, believe that it was the police department that had burnt down the Freedom House.
Well, they say, like in this piece that I'm reading, it literally says that the police actually did shoot. They shot into the house.
Mm-hmm. What was it, on 12th Street, 11th Street?
Yeah, it looks like.
I think it was near St. Boniface.
Protesters had been in the Freedom House when Milwaukee police shot tear gas into it, engulfing it in flames.
Yep. And I'm trying to think. Fred Hampton was 69.
Yep.
And now by this time, I'm at Parkman. Okay, so, now it is just like it is. It was a scary time. I'm just telling you. Now I look back on it. They were telling us, we had teachers who was saying that, you know, we need to die for the revolution. We need to bury guns in our backyard. You're a 12, 13-year-old hearing that. And, you know, you don't have a sense of what reality is. So, you know, you thinking like, so now I'm scared. Like, I got to die for the revolution.
But I mean, but it's just so crazy because like when you mentioned, you know, with Vail, so that vote came up 5 times in the Common Council. Mm-hmm. Nobody ever voted for housing integration other than Vail.
Yep.
And then, of course, you get the federal housing law
in 1968.
You know, but you just realize like these fights, man.
Oh, the segregation in Milwaukee, the South, they talk about segregation, but, you know, kind of poor white folks lived near poor black folks in the South. They, you know, there was adjacent. That wasn't the case here. You know, we were confined to a very small part of the city. So when you hear people talking about moving past Burla, right? Or when people was really talking about Capitol Drive over here, which became Blackfish Bay, because black folks, my mama got here in 1937. Okay, that's when my mama got here. She's 3 years old when she came to Milwaukee, 1937. Man, you lived in this thing. So, and then the percentage of our population, black people only made up 10% of the population here. It really was a white city.
Y'all lived out on the hill. You ever hear them talk about the hill?
That was a different neighborhood.
What was the hill?
The hill is over by Clybourne, like 30th in that area.
All of that, the hill, Canal, all of that is the hill. That's where black folks.
Which abutted, what was Pigsville, right?
Pigsville.
Yeah, that valley there. You never heard about Pigsville?
No.
There used to be slaughterhouses, but it was a valley. And so when it rained, the flooding, people go down literally to see the flood in Pigsville.
Like where Potawatomi is?
No, Potawatomi is a little bit more to the south.
Okay.
This was like right on the other side of 94. The freeway. Because they had to go and do all kind of sewer bait. Because if you get a bad rainstorm, Pigsville flooded again. Yeah, in the Miller Valley. Pigsville, Miller Valley. Yeah, so it was it was interesting in terms of, this is why I wanted to go to Marshall, because we were, man, I was in black schools. I mean, like black schools. They were the white kids at Parkman. They had about 12 white kids at Parkman. Parkman had between 18 to 1,900 students. They had 12 white kids. They were always in the social worker's office. They never ate lunch. I never saw them in class. They'd be sitting in that white social worker's office, which was right across from the cafeteria. Look, you got the bookstore, that little hallway, and right there. Yeah, man, that was, but it's only 12. And then I only went to grade school with one white kid, Dale, because the only white kid everybody gonna remember his name. Only went to school with two Latino kids, and one of them, their families were migrant workers. So we saw them, and then we didn't see them because they had to go pick. It was, and then when I went to Holmes, Oliver Wendell Holmes, that abutted the Puerto Rican neighborhood, the 2 blocks the Puerto Ricans lived in. I don't know.
Edith Munoz.
Okay.
That was my first Hispanic. I was crazy about her.
In high school, one guy.
This was in elementary school at Howard Avenue. Edith Munoz. Only one Hispanic in the whole school.
In the whole school. I mean, dude.
And so it was crazy. So like me going to school in New York, my K 3, 4, whatever it was, all the elementary school, middle school. Like I only went to school with everybody. I went to school, it was Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, whites, black, everybody was in our school. So it's so crazy. It was a shock coming to Birmingham. Sitting in the classroom, like, what the heck is going on up in here?
Everybody was when I worked at camp, because we had Polish kids from the South Side, Sear Boys Club. We had the Latinos and from Franklin Place.
Where'd you work? Camp Upham Woods? Where were you at?
No, I didn't do Upham Woods. Upham Woods, we went to Upham Woods. That's in the Dells, right? Mm-hmm. We went there for a 3-day camping thing through 4-H. But no, I was at Camp Wickham. That one was, that was the first time I really, actually, shared sleeping quarters with white folks. Man, I didn't. The only white people I saw.
Did you sleep well?
Oh, man. My guy Zaylor was this guy I hung up. We had a universal language. We all love wrestling.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, the first time you sleep in the room with some white people, you slept like a baby?
Oh man. With white people? Why wouldn't I?
What'd you say, Carmen?
Keith, don't.
What'd you say, Carmen?
Don't further that. Don't further that narrative. Don't do that.
It was, and then of course, then go to high school, and when they were interviewing us, this guy didn't want to ask the question in such a way that he thought it would be offensive. So he goes, "So Keith, what was it like going from a urban environment to a suburban environment?" I said, "Dude, I went from a Afro-centric, Afro-affirming environment to a white Catholic environment, and I am a black Protestant." Was there a little bit of cultural shock? It certainly was, but it wasn't the race that was there. It wasn't the race. It was the class difference. I'm going from a situation where, these are middle class, working class folks, and now you're going to a school where these are upper middle class folks, doing very, very well. A lot of restaurant folks sent their kids there, the Joneses, Victor Jones, John Jones. That was the big adjustment, seeing people with real money, and making that adjustment. And that kind of gets us back to when we were talking the other night, because now I'm finding out that there were kids there whose parents didn't know if they're going to be able to pay tuition. These white kids, right? You assuming, right? There's one guy who played with me. He was a year behind me. He said, "Keith, we were so poor. You don't realize how poor we were. And had Dominican not given me a scholarship, there's no way I'm going to be there."
And so that's the thing. I'm actually kind of like listening to you and just kind of smiling, because the thing that we always understood was most of these white folks didn't have nothing. They looked good. The stuff looked nice, but because a lot of the Black domestic people were in and out of these houses, and they treated you like you didn't exist, but you saw everything.
You saw everything.
And so it would be like, sisters coming back into the community telling this they ain't got nothing.
Right.
They extended to the 9 on whatever little credit did exist back then. But people was able to come back and tell folks like, honey, be careful the grass ain't always green on the other side. I remember my Aunt Lucille was a domestic in Jersey. And when my mother first went to New York, she was a domestic while she was in school.
You know what they call that? Day work.
Yeah, day work. Yeah. And so, but they would come back and talk about it. They was like, these people done sold y'all a bill of goods about what they have versus what we have. They just, it just would be so funny. So we always grew up like, especially a lot of them Black women that had came out of them houses. They was like, these men, please, we all right over here. Don't let these people.
But you know what was really interesting? What was it? The Help?
Yeah.
How my grandmother really felt like Miss Cat's kids were her kids.
Because you had raised them. You had an affinity for them. I mean, you had raised these
so when
children.
you saw that, it was just kind of going like, wow. And then now you put it in perspective now as I begin to get a greater appreciation of the dynamics of race and class in America, I would kind of go like, wow, that's deep. And then again, let me apologize to my mother. The same bus I caught to high school was the same bus my grandmother caught to clean people's houses. And it didn't hit me until I got to college when I'm going like, wow, dude, think about that for a moment. You go in here, great opportunity educationally to go here, but your grandmother's cleaning somebody's house. I mean, it was like, wow, but that's the work they did. I mean, that's why if you ever went by Anna Mae Smith's house.
And let's be clear, that was what was made available to them.
Exactly.
Because people were being kept out of, i.e., why there was a need for affirmative action to make affirmative steps to correct past employment discrimination. People were locked out of everything. Right. I still remember them talking about Janetta Robinson taking the test to go work down at Woolworths. And it was a big deal because no Black women, no Black people worked at Woolworths in the administrative office.
And let me say this.
And the whole community rallied around her to help her study for the test to get in. What?
My mama, and I don't know if I'm being anecdotal here. My mama basically had like a clerical job. Mm-hmm. And when you saw a lot of those women, they were like my mother's complexion.
Right.
And then the women who were doing like laundry, domestic, like
it was dark skinned.
Yeah. I mean,
because you had to be of a certain, you needed to make white people feel comfortable. Yep. And they didn't want no dark folks around them making them feel uncomfortable. So you needed to be lighter, or more fair skinned. But real quick, me and Rep Myers was talking, Lakeisha, she's doing something for some master's degree she's working on right now. And her dissertation is around education. But she was talking about with integration, how many, like in this really in the South, but you see some of it up here, how many Black teachers and principals lost their or administrators lost their status with integration, because you could have been the principal of an all Black school down in the South. And then when they integrated, they wouldn't allow you as a Black person to be over white folks, supervise white folks. So you end up going back into the classroom.
Remember the Titans?
Yes.
That's the exact scenario.
And that's what, so we were just talking about that. Like, it was funny how integration also did that damage that, and then evidently there were all these committee hearings on the Hill about what happened as a result of some of the school integration. And it was Black people testifying saying, I got a PhD. And when the schools integrated, they reduced and put me back in the classroom and made this white person the principal who only had a master's degree and far less experience than I had. So what we lost also as a part of that whole thing.
And that's the balance. What the gain, what was, you always talk about risk reward, right? What's the reward? Obviously, now you see it for people, many of, not all, but many of HBCU alum, a lot of their kids with the exception, there are probably some exceptions like Howard or Morehouse, Spelman. A lot of times they're trying to direct their kids to a PWI. And
the one thing I noticed is that most of them, their kids went ahead and went to the HBCUs, but they got their master's degrees from PWIs.
Right.
There have been certainly a few that
especially
I know.
those kids who went to all white schools. Oh, I want that Black cultural experience. I'm going to Howard. And then they find out, oh, culturally, that's going to be a shock for you too, because now you have to acclimate yourself to, you get it at home. Most of us did not go to boarding school. So the thing about me being a Dominican was at 2:25, I'm on the bus back to my Black neighborhood. Right. Where there's some kids who grew up in that environment, and
I just think you just get that mixed up, because you get I think about Lakeisha's family, Alcorn is the family school. Everybody went to Alcorn, the cousins, the aunties, the da-da-da-da-da. And you go get your master's. I think all of their masters probably came from a PWI. But in our family, everybody went to Alabama State except me. Everybody went to Alabama State, and that's where you went. And then later you would go get your master's, your PhD from PWIs.
I'm going to get the call in. I'm going to talk about this whole legacy piece. That was the other thing that kind of came up Friday night when we were at Victor's, this idea of legacy. But it's real interesting how that thing all worked out. Caller, welcome to the program.
Oh, yes. I won't be that long, Keith.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to ask you a question in your opinion. I'm looking at this, the Denver Post, and it's talking about these are open forum and filling with letters to the editors.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to read it real quick. They'll be very brief. It says, oligarchy, plutocracy, co-president Musk questions around U.S. power structure. Biden signs budget bill. News story. I have been wondering what happened to the fiscal responsibility of the Republican Party. Trump wanted to suspend the debt limit. Why would he want no limits on the national debt? Could it be that he wants to help the billionaire class and big business cut taxes?
Yep.
The tax cuts then did not substantially help the majority of us. Mm-hmm. Is that his last tax cuts increased the national debt substantially? The talk is that they want to cut Social Security and Medicare to pay for the tax cuts. Since when Elon Musk has been elected, could it be that he would like to continue getting federal subsidies on his business, and that he does not want the United States to limit how much money he can be invested in China? He's also threatened to spend money to have candidates against anyone in Congress who opposes him. Trump does the same thing, but he's been elected. Have we become an oligarchy or O-L-I-G-A-R?
Oligarchy?
Oligarchy. And the next one I'll read to you and I'll stop. It's not even January yet, and it's official. The U.S. now oligarchy, not a democracy, a form of government in which all the power is vested in a few persons or dominant class or clique, governed by the few. Elon Musk says yes or no, then President-elect Trump either agrees or Musk stops the cash flow. All Republicans in Congress bow down to the Almighty, or they lose their jobs in the next election. This is what the American people voted for, and that's it. What's your opinion on those? Are we headed that way?
Well, I think we've always had an oligarchy. I think there have always been a small group of people who pretty much run it. It seems like the players, the chairs are there, but the players might change. But we've always had oligarchy. I don't know how we make it sound like we have this absolute democracy where everything is the same, everything is equal. That is not the case. The rich will always look out for the rich. And if I can buy Congress people to promote policies and programs, right, that benefit me, you're right. He wanted to kind of move that debt limit because they're looking at doing another tax cut. But that tax cut is not going to necessarily benefit you and I. That tax cut is going to benefit that 1%. That the last tax cut that Trump did benefited primarily the 1%. And then the 1% will turn around and tell people, oh, you shouldn't be dependent on government programs. How much money is being spent or being paid to Elon Musk when it comes to this whole space. And he has contracts with the U.S. government. So, yeah, I think we've always had oligarchy. You've always had where you had a small group of people who really are pushing the levers. And we do have some level of democracy, but all votes don't count the same. Your vote in Wyoming is probably a little bit more powerful than your vote in California because of how California votes. So I was watching Blackish, and they did a great little piece on this idea of, is there such a thing as one man, one vote? Not on a national level, because we had this thing called the Electoral College, which was put into place to make sure that Southern states would have power. That's where we get 3/5 of a person, right? Where you have this large majority of enslaved Africans, and the census counts everyone, whether you're a citizen or not, right? The census then used to figure out how you draw congressional districts. So it doesn't really matter if you're U.S. citizens, the number of people living in that district. That's why they talk about places in Wisconsin. It's probably the same thing in Colorado, Nevada, where you have a place like, I'm trying to think, where Waupun is. But that little county is overrepresented in the legislature because it counts the prisoners there at Waupun and Dodge, right? Dodge Correctional. And then I think they have another penal institution there in Dodge County. So that representative, and then the people who are in prison, many of them come from Milwaukee. They're going back to Milwaukee. So, yeah, I agree. There's always been an oligarchy. There's always been the powerful few, right? That has not changed since the beginning of America. And we can window dress it and make it sound like it's something other than what it is, but it isn't. And maybe that's how societies are formed. I don't know. But yeah, I think that what Elon Musk, here's the question though. And this is the thing where I can go, we do all the numbers, we do the data. But the one thing that we should never lose sight of is the human factor, right? That you have human beings. This bromance between Elon Musk and Donald Trump is not going to last long.
Really?
No, because I think already ego. The one thing that drives Donald Trump is ego. And so now you have someone where they're referring to Elon Musk as President Musk. That ain't gonna last long.
And what I'm reading, it says that the co-president Elon Musk decides what a bipartisan piece of legislation does not meet with his personal approval. He uses X, which he owns, to mobilize the MAGA mob against it.
Right, and they have a little problem right now with MAGA because of those special visas for workers. Elon Musk has come out in favor of them. The MAGA people do not want to see him. So we'll see how that plays out and how Donald Trump plays that on January 20th, what he will do. But then Donald Trump benefits, I think there's N1H something, is a certain visa status, and it's primarily used for people who come in and do gardening and domestic work in the hospitality industry. I think they want to expand the number of engineers who come in. And what happens is you get an engineer trained in India who's going to come in and make half of what an American engineer is going to make. So, yeah, I hear you, man. No, that's the deal.
Okay, I was just curious.
Yep.
I was listening to what you were talking about in Milwaukee too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, every part of the country I find is different, because my friend Richard, he was telling me that when he didn't know anything about Milwaukee. He moved from Colorado down to Houston, and he started he thought all black people had the same experience he did. And then he started speaking to some black people who were from Milwaukee, and they said, no, it wasn't like it at all. We didn't go to school with white folks. Mm-hmm. They stayed in their neighborhood, and we stayed in ours.
Yep.
And we were not
and it was
accepted.
Strictly enforced.
Richard was shocked when he heard that, and he said he thought every black person had that experience, and that he did. That they had gone to a diverse school or something like that, or at least it was 60 or 70%. But they were making it sound like the schools in Milwaukee, if I understand it, about 90% or 95% black.
Yeah, I was.
And they get to different dynamics as far as they're even separated from the Hispanics.
Yeah, because here's what they did in Milwaukee. You had these districts, right? So Debo and I went to Parkman. Because Debo and I went to Parkman, we were a feeder school to Rufus King. And we had to go to Rufus King or transfer to Riverside, transfer to Marshall, right? And then you could have where if they have X number of students, there are no more seats, you can't get in. So it wasn't this idea that you had this, you could go to any school you wanted to go to. They made it very difficult. They did the same thing in Boston, right? So when you look at, people talk about Little Rock and integration, people should talk about Boston, right? And what happened with the busing, right? And the desegregation of those schools and how people pushed back, primarily the poor Irish who had a real issue.
Well, they were pretty volatile towards, they were pretty mean.
Oh man,
blacks.
they because we were pitted against each other.
You hear about it. Milwaukee was, I will tell something, I don't know if it makes you feel better. There was a lady she moved from Boston to Milwaukee, black lady with her family.
Mm-hmm.
And she was just talking about, they were talking about how segregated it was and how bad Milwaukee was for black folks. But she said she came to Milwaukee and she said it was a joy coming from Boston. Because she says, when you come from Boston, you are, if you're black, it's just outright violence. And she did not experience that. And she did not experience that in Milwaukee, but she had to watch herself when she was in Boston. When she went to, I guess, baseball games, basketball games. You never heard about them blacks being chased out of the Milwaukee County. At the baseball game, but you did hear about it.
No, that ain't quite true. You didn't want to be caught like the South Side was sundown. You did not want to be caught, especially in the 60s. You did not want to be caught on the South Side after dark. It was.
What about the baseball games? What about baseball games?
Well, baseball games were, that's the one space, you go to sporting events and that's usually not an issue. I'm going to just show you how racist Boston is. Not to say that we can act as if we're not here. Bill Russell and those Celtics back in the 60s, right? They won like 9 straight NBA championships. They are the cream. They are the creme of the creme of basketball. Do you know that during the regular season, they never sold out a game? During the regular season, they sell out in the playoffs. Larry Bird comes and starts playing for Boston. They sell out every game. To the point Bill Russell talks about people breaking in his house in Boston, defecating on his bed in Boston. Right. He talks about the stories of living in Boston where it was, and a lot of this historically goes back to even the 19th century, right? There was something in New York, I don't know if it was Boston, but I know it was in New York, where they called them draft riots. This was during the Civil War.
Yeah, 1862, 1863.
Right, because the Irish did not see, why am I going to fight to free people that we don't like and we think that we're superior to? And so there was these riots against them being drafted to go and fight in the Civil War, right? So yeah, there were issues. And what happened was they always pointed, when black folks would go for a better life, they would tell the Irish who they were already, because the Brahmins in the non-Irish, the Brahmins who was running that city, the Irish were living tough. If you close your eyes, Irish were living like black folks, right? They called them the Shanty Irish. Now, Kennedys, they were part of the lace, what they called the lace curtain Irish. But no, that's the issue. One quick thing. In 1968, 1969, Fred Hampton formed the Rainbow Coalition. It's called the Original Rainbow Coalition. On the north side of Chicago, poor whites from Appalachia in the South who came to Chicago to work lived as bad as black people living on the west side of Chicago. Right? Now, because we all think that all white people are the same. No. No. You need to understand ethnic rivalries. They are not the same. A German, culturally, could be very different than a Serb. They could be very different than an Irish, could be very different than an Italian. And depending on when your people got here, right, that's how you would be situated. Because I'm watching this thing, and then they showed, there's this meeting where you had this guy from West Virginia talking to Fred Hampton. And he's acknowledging his prejudices. He said, you know what? I wouldn't get with him, but when we got to looking at our living conditions and the universal struggle that we have, a lot of times we put it on race, but a lot of times it's also based on class and economics, which gets us back to the oligarchy, right? I appreciate you, man. I'm up on a break.
Take care.
You're listening to Community Voice. Caller, I see you. I'm going to grab you right after the break. We'll be right back.
The holidays, and holiday trips, and holiday toys, and holiday bonding. And it all comes together in a Chevrolet.
Find your red tag. Get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Silverado 1500 pickups. Plus, get $3,750 total value on this Silverado when you trade in an eligible vehicle.
Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
The passing of a loved one is emotional enough without adding the stress of funeral arrangements. By pre-planning, you receive the desires of your heart while taking away the burden from your family. It also saves you money, providing the dignity and respect your memory deserves. And there are times when life ends unexpectedly. Please know that the New Pitts Mortuary is here to lend a helping, caring hand anytime, day or night. We are the New Pitts Mortuary.
Voice caller, welcome to the program.
Oh, good morning. First thing I want to say is tomorrow is going to be New Year's Eve, okay? So I want y'all to take a lot of inventory. So I want to say this because I know a lot of people going to be in them cups tomorrow. When them people get to talking all crazy, do not call the police. call the ambulance, and I can guarantee you by the time the ambulance get there, they're going to sober up real good till they be able to say their driver's license backwards. So the ambulance come, they know they just going to take them and drag them out till the thing come down. To the people who are married, who have husbands, y'all, you should already know their traits and everything. Do not call the police because they're not coming. All right? The only thing I want to say is if you're going to call the police on him, do not call him in 3 days and ask that same man to play in your guts because you're wasting the police time to come to your house because y'all was drinking all the wrong liquor. So I just wanted to put some of this positivity out there. And should nobody have 2 concussions and 4 black eyes and expect for somebody to hit the G-spot? So I just want to give you all the do's and don'ts before this Happy New Year's. And if the liquor is cheap, keep it away from your dwelling. Happy New Year, and I want y'all to be safe for Wednesday, all right? Be good.
Thank you. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm out the dungeon.
All right. Did you hear mine?
Huh?
Did you hear mine?
No, man. I was busy. You tell what? Was it good?
I thought it was good. Debo thought it was good.
Yeah, I thought it was good. Jackie didn't,
and Michelle didn't.
She's a tough act to follow.
Yeah, but they're a tough audience.
I know. Like the Apollo, you gotta.
Oh man!
Hey, Keith,
never know what you get.
Tell him yours, man, and see if he gets a kick out of it. Just give it to him. Yours is quick and to the point.
All right, you gonna laugh this time, Jackie? All right. I'm gonna change the sex.
Okay,
because
right, let's see if it goes over better this way. Yeah.
So a wife gave her husband a burial plot for Christmas. So the next year, the husband asked, "Well, what did you get me for Christmas?" She said, "Well, you didn't use the gift I gave you last year." I heard you laugh, Jackie. I heard you laugh. I heard Jackie crack.
Yeah.
Maybe if I change the sex, that makes it funny. All right.
So, you said you liked that one.
Yeah, but I liked it the other way around better.
Yeah, but then we were accused of being sexist, and so.
Okay.
So what you got, man? What you got?
All right. It was the first day of school. So the teacher stood up in front of the class and said, "If any student in here feel that you're dumb, please stand up." So she looked around the class. No one stood up. So all of a sudden, a little boy in the back of the class stood up. So the teacher said, "Oh, boy." So the teacher said, "Well, little Johnny, why do you feel like you're dumb?" Little Johnny said, "Well, no, ma'am, I don't feel I'm dumb. I just didn't want you standing up there by yourself." Debo, see, come on,
Jackie? Thumbs up, dude. You got a thumbs up. Carvey?
Jackie gave a thumbs up?
Carvey, I love Carvey. Carvey did different. Oh, man. Oh, man.
So wait. The teacher said, if any student in here feel like they dumb, stand up.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. So then Johnny stands up.
Yeah, Johnny stands up.
And she says, "Well, Johnny, if why do you feel like you're dumb?" He says, "No, ma'am, I don't feel like I'm dumb. I just didn't want you standing up there by yourself."
Right.
Yep.
Come on now, y'all. What's funny about that?
Because the teacher only wants.
You had to explain it, man. You had to explain it. We got it.
No, see, y'all give too much
Debo,
leeway.
you're a hater, man. You're a hater.
No, that's
You're
Keith.
hater.
That's Keith.
I would start calling you Simon Debo.
Well, I mean, it's got to have some similarity to funny to it, man.
Is he like the two dudes and the Muppets? Remember, he would sit up in the balcony, and all they do is just heckle and trip on the bad jokes.
I mean, I got a kick out of yours, Keith. If it's funny, I get.
Okay, Debo. No, man.
I think that's
he said he got another one.
Let me try one for you.
Come on, I'm ready.
Okay, the pastor, he was preaching Sunday service. So the pastor said, "If I had all the liquor in the world, I'll go dump it in the river." Then the pastor said, "If I had all the cigarettes in the world, I'll go dump them in the river." So after he said all that, he looked over at the choir director and he said, "May I have an A selection, please?" So the choir director looked at the choir and say, "May we sing hymn 23? May we all gather by the river."
There you go.
The liquor jokes he get. He get the liquor jokes.
Well, I knew they was going to the river. I knew they was headed to the river.
We all.
I thought you were going to sing that song, "Go Lay Down My Burdens Down by the Riverside."
We used to sing.
That was foul.
What we used to sing, God, this is a song we sang for when we would do communion.
Baptism, Take Me to the Water.
Take Me to, no. There was another one we did where something, maybe we do something on our knees. I'm trying to remember that song. I can't remember that song now. Oh, can we break bread together on our knees? On our knees. Can we break bread together on our knees? Then they go, and we drink wine together on our knees. And I'm kind of going, ooh, the imagery of that.
Drinking wine on
your knees. Like, you done got to the point that you on your knees. You've been drinking some wine. Let me, I
noticed you stayed away from it, man. You have not talked about that Packer loss.
Oh, man. What? The mistakes, you can't make those mistakes that they made and expect to beat a good team.
That one punch out kind of turned everything around.
Yeah. Well, I turned it off after the dude lined up in the neutral zone on the 57-yard field goal, which the guy missed. Right. And then he gets it now from 50. You know, I mean, those are
trying
things.
To ice him, so you take timeouts. And
right. And the dude is lining up. Then he go, I'm not. Then they showing. And then who was it? Tom Brady said, well, he wasn't the only one in the neutral zone. It's like, those are the things that just can't happen. Now, look, they got some key players on defense out. You know, so hopefully by playoffs, these guys will be back. But no, man, you just can't make the mistakes. Now, somebody
what we can't do is minimize who that team was they played either.
Minnesota's a good team.
Yeah,
a good team. So that game next Sunday, Minnesota and Detroit. And I don't know. I keep thinking Detroit is fading. They play tonight, right? They have Frisco tonight.
Well, I know they play Minnesota next week, so that
they got Frisco tonight. So, yeah, I first of all, the game was kind of meaningless, you know, because the Packers would have to win out, some people would have to lose. So they're in already. So it's just a question: are you going to be 5?
It was more for Minnesota to be able to be the number 1 seed,
right? So then that game's next Sunday becomes important because then they're to them, it's like they could sneak up and they could be the number 1 seed. That has not always been a benefit when you had that week off, that bye. A lot of teams will lose coming back because you kind of lose an edge.
Yeah, that momentum is
right. But for people to get healthy, the Packers certainly, I don't know if Alexander's done for the year. I don't know if Clay Walker's done for the year. There were some people who did I see a Stokes sighting?
I tell you what, we had no pass rush.
Yeah, because Wyatt got hurt. He went out with a concussion. So, no, I wasn't tripping. This game, it didn't, one of those things where you're going like, oh, they don't really need it. It helped, but it doesn't mean they're not going to change much. They're going to play their first, probably all their playoff games on the road anyway. So, you know, let's get healthy. But no, I wasn't tripping. Now, let's talk about those Bucks. Gee, man. Come on, man. Got to beat the Bulls. And I understand Giannis didn't play, but man, you gotta beat the Bulls. I was talking to one of my teammates, Paul Ingibus, and I don't know if he's a chiropractor or what he does, but he was talking about calf injuries, and you're seeing more and more calf injuries, and he was saying how difficult it is for them to be treated and for them to heal because of how the muscles are in the calf. But if you look, it seems like in basketball, you're seeing people with the calf injuries. And football, you're seeing people
what I noticed
with calf injuries.
We've gone away from. Let me be certain that I'm wording this right. I think it's the shoes. you don't see the true high tops anymore. That covers that ankle and kind of it's they
Well,
I
you
think
see
I
more.
think it's in the shoe.
I think when I was young, everybody wanted to wear the low cuts. We didn't want to wear the high tops, right? And not that Chuck's going to give you any kind of ankle support,
Right, not at all.
Anyway. I mean, but this idea, so people wanted, and you saw it in football where back then people didn't want to wear the high tops. They looked like old school, so you wanted to wear low cuts. And then I think like the 80s and 90s, the high mid cut shoe came out where people have it. Here's the other thing: a lot of these guys are so taped up. But you're right. I think it's that, and then just the speed of the game. I mean, when you talking like 325-pound men. Who was it? Who was the quarterback? Was it Penix? I was watching for Atlanta last night. This dude ran a 4.45 40. This is a 6'3", 6'4", 225. That's a big guy who can run.
He's moving. Right.
And so then now you got physics going on out there, where the and even they use it like the violence of the game. You gotta there's
Run
this
into a brick
force.
wall.
Literally. Who's my guy down in I love him, man. Is it Vega Tuavea down in Tampa Bay?
Tampa.
Yeah, he's as wide as he is tall. They had 2-3 people trying to block this dude. He's like Gilbert Brown. Remember, Gilbert was, and all Gilbert did was just the refrigerator.
Just plug up the middle.
Plug up the middle, man. Use that girth. Use that size, man. But I think,
Does he still have his camp at North Division?
Yeah, he did it last summer. Okay. Yep. I don't know if he did it the COVID year, but he did it last summer. Yeah. What was he? The Gravedigger?
Yep, that's what he was.
Let me real quickly, as we have a few minutes left, I wanted to, I did talk about this idea of legacy. And I didn't think about it until, I've thought about it, but really it crystallized for me on Friday night when I was talking. And let's kind of get back, give you a little bit of my history like you care. I grew up at Metropolitan Baptist Church. At one point, obviously, we had the largest black church building until other churches started built. So, and when we built that church in 1968, we opened. Ironically, it was the week after the assassination of Dr. King in 1968. Our then pastor, Dr. E.M. Kelly, he wasn't there for most of the dedication because he was in Atlanta because he and Dr. King were friends. And so we had a lot of people at the church, and we certainly had a lot of young people, a lot of children. We're at the end of the baby boom, a lot of kids there. As a matter of fact, when we the first year we got robes, they dedicated 107 robes, right? And so you could have on a given Sunday where there's 50 kids, singing in the choir stand. So there was always a lot of kids. As luck has it, and people don't know the story how I got to Dominican, I had a school teacher named Ed Koch. He was doing his student teaching. And in one of my English classes, I was a 9th grader at Parkman. And so he had graduated from Dominican. He asked in the classroom, he said, is there anybody here who would like to go out on a student exchange to this high school? And I thought, oh man, we get out of school? Oh, I'm going. So we, I don't know if Mamie went. Mamie could have gone. But there was about 3 or 4 of us who actually went. And we went out, and oh my God, I was so impressed. I walk into this building. The Dominican, if you've ever been in it, has its own little unique smell, and the whole thing. I'm loving it. Plus, I thought I could make the football team out here, Ernell. I could make the football team. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna go. Let's try to get here. But it costs money, and my mama's not gonna let me go to this school. Certainly, she ain't gonna pay money to send me to a white school. So I take the brochure home. I showed mom, say, oh, we went out. It was really nice. It was a great school and everything. And so I didn't think about it. So I left the brochure. Never forget, it was on the dining room table. Didn't think about it. That next week, my mother said that when I get off from work, we're going out to that school. What school? Dominican. We're going out to that school. And so my mother takes me out. We meet with the guidance counselor then. Those folks who went to Mesmer would know he would later become the principal at Mesmer and father police. And we talked, and my mother like, okay, we're going to get him in. So I'm going, oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, Brother Bob came over when Mesmer became a community school. So I'm like, wow, I get to go to this school. I mean, I can't even imagine what it's going to be like. And so I go out. So again, back at Metropolitan, remember we had like 50 kids, 75 kids active in the choir. I mean, active there, 50, 75, a lot of us. Out of all of those students, only 2 of us were in private school. I was at Dominican. The late Thomas Watley was at Pius. We're the only 2, right? We don't even have most of my classmates. I mean, my church mates either went to King, went to North, West, right? Those were the 3 primary schools. A couple people at Lincoln, a couple people at Riverside, but King and North, those were the 2 schools that predominated. So go out. It must be my junior year. I'm trying to think, and I had to ask Gary. I don't know if Gary's listening. But the first game that they came out to Dominican to see a basketball game, Gary, Durrells, a couple other folks had come out. And after that, because I used to catch it in the choir. I mean, I used to catch it, man, you sound like a white boy. Oh, man. Getting a girlfriend, that wasn't even happening in that group, okay? Because they looked at me as going to this white school. And, oh, man, so it could be a little tough. I could catch it. But after that, those kids at Metropolitan decided, a lot of them started saying, oh, man, I want to go to Dominican. I want to go to Dominican. Now, I wasn't among the first group of Black students there. I kind of came in after that, maybe first wave of Black. Now, we talk about wave, we talk about 7 students, right? But the first wave of Black folks who got out there, but the fact that they were visiting the school and they saw the school and they were exposed to the school, they said, I can't wait to go to high school because I want to go to Dominican. And then it just began to, I don't know how word began to spread. There are guys who came out and played basketball there. You can thank Mr. Winky for that. We're exposing a lot of guys who are out there who came out there to play basketball. There were guys who came out there to play football. Some of them were able to make it. Others ended up leaving. So by the time I'd gotten there, there were folks there. And then I was talking to someone who was on the team, the 72-73 basketball team out there, without question, the most talented. I'm talking talent. You start with Ali Anwar, and then you get to Daryl Finch, and then you get to John Jones and Herc Jones, right? And then you get to Stan Scott. Oh my God, these just incredible players, right? But here's the deal. We had a coach who'd only been coaching for about 2 years, maybe 3 years. He's pretty young. And this is the first large group, that 72-73 team, where I'm thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It could have been 5 brothers on the team. And I was talking to a guy who played on that team, who wasn't Black. And he said that the problem was they didn't listen to Coach Strack. That's part of it. But the other problem was, and someone had pointed this out to me, he said the Dominican had never had that many Black people on a basketball team. What do you do? And so the racial tension on that team was high. I mean, it was, man, but the most talented team. Remember when I said 1967 set up 1968? So 1973 set up 1974. Because the first team to win a state championship at Dominican was probably one of the least talented teams ever in that school's history. I mean, I can go down, there's 14 banners on our wall. On the west wall, you see 14 championship banners. I go through every one of those teams and tell you they had 2-3 great ball players. The race is not always given to the swift, nor battle to the strong. Sometimes you have this moment where things will line up. And so the least likely team to win a state championship, the first one, I used to joke, every year you would look on there on the schedule, your school schedule, and on the calendar, they had the second weekend in March, state tournament, out of school. We was never out of school until 1974. But then you go, so legacy becomes very interesting. So some of the guys were saying, hey, we started it. An unlikely group would start it because the most talented team, and I'm going, and there's been some great teams. We get Greg Dandridge and Nicky Johnson and Mark Moore and Danny Jones and that team. Oh man, they set a record for most consecutive wins, right? So that legacy piece, and then all of a sudden now we want to go to Dominican. It was like, but prior to that, most people didn't know the school existed. Unless you're going east on Silver Spring, you didn't know it was there. So, being part of that, very smart part of that legacy where, and even now when I talk to alums, regardless whether they graduated in the 2000s or the 80s or the 90s or the 70s, if you were a Black student at Dominican, for most of us, we had this unique experience. And that's why when we see each other, we kind of go like, we got through it. Because and then by the time my sister got there, oh man, it seemed like they had a whole lot of Black students. Because there was only five Black students in my graduating class. Wow. 5. Wow. So so I thank my mother for that to provide me with that opportunity. I regret that I didn't take it as seriously as I should have. Maybe not clearly understanding what that was, but the benefits that I got from there was incredible. Just like the benefits I got from going to Francis Parkman Junior High School. Yeah, I mean, my intellectual ability was really developed at Francis Parkman, and so thank God for that. Well, we got through another one. Carmi, thank you. Debo, thank you. Michelle, thank you. What up, Jermaine?
Hey, Doc.
How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing pretty good, man. I was reading the title on the screen and it said Mississippi Valley State. So that's the college that my son goes to. He's actually graduating.
Is he in the band?
No, he's not in the band. No. He's actually in communication, so he's doing radio.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's a good major.
Awesome, man. I'm proud
man,
of
I retro, who would ever know, I would end up doing this.
Yeah.
I would, maybe if I had studied radio journalism, I'd probably be better at hosting a talk show. But, we get through. I'm doing all right. Let me thank everybody. We'll talk to everybody tomorrow. Good Lord willing, Creek don't rise. Hope to talk to everybody tomorrow, the last program of the year. As always, go from this place in peace.